Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high the listening skies. Let it resound fast rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Brother Kenneth. We do appreciate your skill set and your talent. Thanks for always being here. And as he mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, he is the chair of Arts and Culture here at the National Action Network's House of Justice. We have a lot of communities that we serve, and we have a lot of committees. So we thank Dawn Jones, who is the Political Action Committee chairman. Thank you. I just finished with major surgery, and even though I'm a classically trained singer and I can project, it hurts. So thank you for doing that.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you. Again, thank you, Dawn Jones. She heads up the Political Action Committee, but she's also a national board member here at NAN, so we're very grateful for all of these people. We want to start off by letting you know about the social justice and political justice, civil rights things that we do at NAN. So we're going to invite some of our committee chairs and representatives up to speak. We're going to start off with education. I'm going to ask Brother Sorrell to come up and talk about all the dynamic work that is being done here at NAN, the New York City chapter, through the Education Committee.
Thank you. What a fabulous introduction. Salutations, NAN family. My name is Daniel Sorrell. I'm the treasurer for the National Action Network, New York City, Harlem Chapter Education Committee. I present to you the NAN Ed Committee mission statement at this time. National Action Network Education Committee members will work as a team where every voice is heard, and we will collaborate with other committees such as Youth Huddle, Political Action Committee, Women's Auxiliary Committee, Second Chance Committee, Disabilities Committee, Health Committee, Death Committee, etc. Most importantly, we will work on a local and national level with community-based organizations, elected officials, faith-based organizations, educational institutions as well. We will set the pace for the race with social justice as effective change agents. And we write the resolutions that turn into bills that become laws. We will do it together. The communication of talking drums, marching bands, many sounds, several beats, together, developing one band and one sound, working together collectively. That is our mission statement, and the NAN-ED committee has been diligent throughout the year 2022 and year 2023, aggressively tackling multiple projects as we are now moving forward, working on the Adopt a School programming that has been created and incepted. We also recently engaged and participated at the Governor Nelson A. Rockefeller Empire State Building, commonly known as Empire State Plaza, during the 52nd Annual Puerto Rican, Hispanic, and Asian Legislative Conference held Saturday, February 18th, 2023, and we will continue our works within the community, internally and externally, to exemplify and emanate the progressions as an extension of National Action Network's work. So I thank you for this opportunity to speak. We welcome more speakers to the microphone at this time. Amen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, there are many other people that are here. I would be remiss if not given the opportunity to all of the chairs to speak if they would like to. I see Goldie is with pretty Miss Kitty, but nonetheless, I'm gonna give. Do you need a minute, Goldie, or okay? So. Goldie, better known as Lisa Harps, does so much around the House of Justice. She wears many, many, many hats. She's a part of membership, she's a part of Women's Auxiliary, and she just helps out with so much. So we're very fortunate to have her in the house, and we thank you for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Harps.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am the president of the Women Auxiliary. The Women Auxiliary is, our chairwoman is Kathy Jordan Sharpton. The Women Auxiliary meets every month, the first Saturday of the month, and we have our 25th annual Women of Excellent Man of Vision Award coming up, and it's going to be here at the House of Justice. The next is membership. Is everyone in here a member? Hello? And if you're not a member, we have our membership chair in the back. You know, we have a table back there. You can join every Saturday, and you can even go online to nationalactionnetwork.net, and you can join online. So if you're not a member, we need you to join today. And I thank you. And the membership committee, we meet every week. Okay? Thank you.
I don't see the hostess. This is Alvin Ponder back with you. Let me just say a little bit about the Health and Wellness Committee. Folks, as you probably know, I was the chair of the HIV/AIDS Committee for some 7 years. And because of Reverend Sharpton's backing, I probably was one of the few heterosexuals who was up there in Albany fighting for millions of dollars and to end the AIDS epidemic by 2020. Well, as AIDS became a chronic disease and following the lead of C. Virginia Fields with her AIDS organization, I decided to go to the Health and Wellness because we had been dormant for a couple of years. The leader had become sick. And so we just rebooted. I'm going to be very brief. The mission of our Health and Wellness Committee is to advocate those health policies and programs that eliminate the systemic racial gaps in the patient services and experience that afflict Black and brown people. And we know that we do not have access to medicine the way that we should. I will just end by encouraging you to come out to our May 6th forum. I'm going to try to pack this house on Alzheimer's and dementia. And so I want to see all of you out here, and that is a little blurb on the Health and Wellness Committee. Again, I'm Alvin Ponder, and if you want to join my committee, please see me. I have my business card, and I'll give it to you. Thank you kindly.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Victor Pate, chairperson of the Second Chance Committee here at the National Action Network, House of Justice. I'm a formerly incarcerated person, as well as my wife, and we're here to support the NAN Disabilities Committee as well as other committees here at the House of Justice. Second Chance Committee is a committee that was designed and formed to assist the formerly incarcerated men and women as they navigate the many hurdles that are oftentimes in our way when we come home, and oftentimes don't have a way to go. Well, Second Chance Committee has created that pathway for that to happen on a much smoother transition when people are returning from our prisons and jails, as well as working on criminal justice legislative reform to reform the criminal injustice system and work on social justice issues. Upcoming, the National Action Network Convention, April the 15th, Saturday, the National Action Network Second Chance Committee will be hosting another, that's right, another criminal justice panel. We have been hosting these criminal justice panels for the last 10 years at the National Action Network Convention. And I'm so thankful and humble that we have this opportunity to bring the services that we have to offer, but more importantly, to engage you, the public, in the work that we need to do as a collective community, continuing the mission statement of Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network. So thank you all for being here. My wife is at the Second Chance table, Mary Arnold, who is a co-founder of the Second Chance Committee, with some information for you. Now here's something really, really, really important. So in addition to criminal justice legislation reform advocacy that we do, we also work on disenfranchisement of our marginalized communities, but also our disenfranchised communities that are behind these prisons and walls. What do I mean by that? Two things, actually three things. Currently, Second Chance Committee is involved in a statewide collaborative to to re-enfranchise those that are disenfranchised behind our prisons and walls. We are currently working on a New York State legislative bill that will restore the rights to vote for those that are currently incarcerated in our prisons and jails under the sentence of felony. But that's not all. We are also on Rikers Island monthly registering pre-trial detainees to vote, and they vote by absentee if they're not released from our community. I have been appointed by the New York City Department of Corrections as the lead coordinator of the Rikers Island Voting Coalition. We have information in regards to that. If anybody is interested in joining the Second Chance Committee and other coalitions in this important, I'm going to say this again, important work of re-enfranchising our community, but also re-enfranchising our incarcerated community, because guess what? Incarcerated voice matters too. Come to the back of the table. My wife Mary's back there with information. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Chaplain Kate, and also to our Vice President, Dr. Ponder. Thank you both. We're going to keep it moving forward. I would like to invite Brother Duncan from the Welcome Committee to come up and speak a little bit about the work that committee does. We have Miss Inola Tucker, chaplain also, who's always here, always supporting. She's out there with refreshments and the welcoming, but nonetheless, it's a team effort. Teamwork makes the dream work. So Brother Duncan's going to speak for the Welcome Committee.
All right, thank you. How's everyone? Yeah, power to the people? Power to the people? Power to the people? All right, thank you. My name is LaRon Duncan, and I'm a proud member of the Welcoming Committee. as well as the Second Chance Committee. So we're working on a couple of different initiatives to increase membership, fundraising capabilities, and entrepreneurship amongst the membership. What we bring to the organization and for the members is an entree into the digital marketing industry through these mobile billboard backpacks. One of which, this industry is a $600 billion industry, and we feel that there's no reason why we can't get in this industry, take advantage of it, capitalize on it, and empower and inspire the next generation of leaders. Because anyone that has a cell phone these days is involved in digital marketing. So it becomes a no-brainer. And we feel that this will go the distance for any committee that's involved in NAN, keeping the word out front, keeping the issues that are relevant in front of the community in an innovative way, helping individuals that's transitioning from jail, from homelessness, and put them on a path to entrepreneurship and corporate registration in New York State or any other state that NAN has a chapter. We also feel there's going to be a benefit to increase membership, because this is a way that now in the community, people can scan QR codes and they can sign up immediately and tell why they want to be a member of the National Action Network Committee, how they can benefit the National Action Network Committee, and why they will be a positive member of the National Action Network Committee. This goes the distance, is keeping messages out, as far as the brother just mentioned, about health and wellness, or any committee within the organization. The message of the leader, the Honorable Reverend Al Sharpton, and the work that's being done. We respect it. We understand that people can only be in one place at one time, and you can't be everywhere that you really need to be. But with an innovative in-your-face platform, we can be everywhere we need to be. We can have the message in front of the people long after the emotions die down of the immediate event, right? A lot of times people get tired, right? Anybody get tired sometimes? Anybody get tired sometimes? And the struggle costs, right? Gotcha. So we want to answer that on two fronts. We want to come in with ambush marketing in the communities where it matters most. We can come in with multiple languages, strengthening the message against police brutality, against unfair housing, against job discrimination, against human rights violations, against civil rights violations. This is our platform. Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people.
Thank you, Brother Duncan. That was great. So as we move forward, we would like to recognize and say thank you to our sister, Chaplain Sandra Mitchell. And as she makes her way forward, she's a longtime member of NAN, and she is currently the acting chair of the Housing Committee. And she's a part of multiple committees here, but today she's going to speak to you a little bit about hopeful initiatives that we plan on collaborating with, for example, 1020E, so forth and so on, and the other things that the Housing Committee is doing here at the House of Justice in the community of Harlem. New York City chapter is here. We're in the building.
Thank you, Chaplain Mary. I want to say thank you so very much to the NAN family. A lot of times we say NAN family, but we don't really explain why we say NAN family. I say NAN family because I went from ICU, had a stroke, went blind, and NAN came to see about me in the nursing home. And I'm saying, people can say, you're my girl, I'm your friend, I'm whatever, but when you're down and out, and you're wondering how many counts you got, and Nan came through the door. Sister Naomi Jones, Chaplain Naomi Jones, she went wild on these people. She said, I'm here to see her, and I'm a chaplain, and she has a right to her religious rights. And she made them open that door, and and understand what policy is and what religion supersedes their policy, whatever they wanted to do. And so she let them know, I'm in my right to come see my sister as a fellow chaplain working in the vineyard, and she has a right to her religious rights for me to see and pray with her. And they had to open the door. So I'd say thank you to the Nan family. I thank you to the Women's Auxiliary. They knew that they had stole my clothes, and they provided clothes. The Education Committee, they provided clothes. I don't know what was the problem there. They were just really elder abuse and all kinds of stuff. So that now I have more advocacy to do in nursing homes. And so a lot of people I met there, they were homeless and they had no place to go, so they went into the nursing home. Some were formerly incarcerated, they had no place to go, so they were in the nursing home. They had injuries, they had a lot of vascular illnesses and a lot of diabetes. And they found coalescence in the nursing homes. They had nowhere to go. But the nursing home was not equipped. Not blaming the staff or anything, they were not equipped to talk about housing issues. And how did they get out of the nursing home? Where were they gonna go? Some were losing their apartments because they were in the nursing home for so long. So the advocacy doesn't stop. I'm laying on my bed and I'm telling them what they need to do. So I bless the Lord for the strength to be able to still be active, still be strong, and it's not my strength, it's God's strength. So what the Housing Committee is doing, what we are committed to doing, is to letting people know what are your rights when the landlord uses harassment tactics and you just say, well, it's cold outside. Well, it's cold outside and it's cold in here, it's leaking, the floor is rotten, I fell down, whatever like that. Sometimes these are harassment tactics to make you get up and leave, but there's nowhere to go. So I guess it was about 14, 15 years ago, I had joined with an organization called CASA, Community Action for Safe Apartments, and our board member, Dawn Jones, she was involved with them as well. So what a coincidence, but there is no such thing as a coincidence, divine order. So by divine order, Sister Dawn Jones was working with CASA, and I became a member of CASA. So now, 15 years later, I stand with National Action Network and with CASA, and we are going to Albany on the 14th of this month, which is a couple of days from now, and we're going to go and we're going to stand for housing for all, regardless of who you are, whether you just came to this country or whatever like that. We have to open our arms and we have to open up our psyche to, like, housing is a human right. So it doesn't matter if you just got here yesterday, because you know what, that's another human being that's going to be denied, and then today is them being denied, and tomorrow is us. And some of us have been denied housing because of our backgrounds, because of our struggles, because of our trauma, and they hold that against that, but housing is a human right. So we have something that we say, fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right. Fight, fight, fight. Housing is a human right, and we wake up the world. We wake up the world, you know, because they don't want to tax the rich. So we have a campaign called it Tax the Rich. Tax the rich, you know, you're taxing us, there's no more we can give. And so now we'll also be joined with the Northwest Bronx Community Clergy Coalition, and we have birthed the Right to Counsel. It was a borough-wide campaign, it's a citywide campaign, and now it's a statewide campaign. We're looking for it to be a federal campaign. If you are facing eviction, you have a right to counsel, you have a right to legal representation. And also we have another campaign, Eviction-Free New York City. So these are all the campaigns that it doesn't cost you anything to join, just for you to want to help. You don't have to be a lawyer or anything like that, we train you. What are your rights as a tenant? What are your rights as a homeowner? What are your rights as someone who's seeking housing? Your past cannot be used against you, that's discrimination. And we have attorneys that we can stand with you, and we stand with you. Sometimes you'll see us on a grand concourse in Housing Court. We'll have on orange t-shirts, CASA, Community Action for Safe Apartments, and there'll be other coalitions there too, like the Northwest Bronx Community Clergy Coalition. Also, we are working on educating people about their ability to purchase. You say, I have no money, how can I purchase? But they have Community Opportunity to Purchase Act, COPA. Community Opportunity to Purchase Act. If you get some people together and say you're fighting and pulling each other apart, we will be able to get together as a community and own property. Community Opportunity to Purchase Act. We will be we'll be making sure that people understand what that means and how do you get that together. Also, if you don't want to join together in a community capacity, you have an apartment that you want to own. You want to stay in your apartment. You're all right with it, but now you want to own it. So there's a tenant opportunity to purchase that, TOPA. So we are dealing with COPA for Community Opportunity to Purchase Act and TOPA, Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. I have a nice apartment. I gotta do the shelter. After having 2 strokes in the shelter, again, I'm on number 6. You can't keep a good woman down. And I'm as serious as your next heartbeat. I'm as serious as your next heartbeat that we gonna win this thing, okay? People are not gonna be laying out in the street or whatever like that. I was speaking to a colleague up in Albany, in Ulster County, and she says, there's only 21 beds in the shelter, and that's it. 21 beds, and she said there's over 20,000 people that's gonna be wandering around in the streets. I don't wanna live in Ulster County. So we think we got it bad. Don't go up there. But I'm gonna help my sister. Because what's happening in New York City, what's happening in Ulster County could happen in New York City. So today is Ulster County, and tomorrow is New York City. We have people running around in the street. But let me tell you something, we are on it. We're going to Albany, and we will talk to anyone that is alive. We will open up each door, and we'll turn over the desk if we have to. We're not gonna be violent. Just gonna let them know that there's no place for us to go. There's no place for us to go. So therefore, we want to purchase our apartments, we want to purchase where we live, and we want the community to get together. Right now, we're working on the Kingsbridge Armory. We're gonna bring programs in there. And this is by divine order, because anyone else who came in there who tried to exploit the community, the roof caved in. And so now, we got the new roof up, whatever like that, and we're gonna bring programs into the Kingsbridge Armory. And programs that are culturally competent. Because not everybody wants to do the same thing, but we have a lot of West Africans moved into the Bronx, have a lot of the Spanish are there, the African Americans there, and we need to make sure that we have programs for the children and the seniors. So there's a lot to do with housing. There's a lot to do with housing. It's not just, well, I need a place to live in and that's it, I'm done. You become an activist when you don't even know it, because you just can't lay down and let everybody else just wander. So we teach, we educate, we empower, and we go to Albany and we make change. The change that we're making is Right to Counsel right now. Right to Counsel and Eviction-Free New York City. Those are 2 of our campaigns. I'm also going to Albany on Monday with Community Access and the New York Association for Psychiatric and Rehabilitation Services. We go every year. I've been with them for about 15 years. And let me tell you something, when you have trauma and then you come out of the hospital and then now you want to live on your own, it's like the system doesn't want to let you go. And so then they aggravate you so much so you start to decompensate. And what we want to do is we want to have more housing with social workers that will help people that are re-entering the community in that way. And so this is serious. Sometimes you just not strong enough to advocate for yourself. So you need social workers. So we're going up there on Monday and we're advocating for more higher pay, an 8.5% increase. So those who are home attendants, those who are human services workers, we're advocating for your payment. I'm not working right now, but I'm always working for the Lord. I serve God's people. I serve God's people. And so let me tell you something. I said, the housing is really serious. There's no kickbacks for me. God gives me my blessings as I serve his people. And you are all God's people. You better recognize. So I love y'all. I love y'all, your NAM family. You came to me when I was at my last breath. And I can breathe again because of you. Bless you.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Chaplain Mitchell. We're always grateful. That's a lot of information. It's so much. Okay, Sister Jay is saying something. What's this? No, but thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Either way, I can't bend over. I wasn't joking. I'm recovering from surgery, and actually the only reason that I'm still, or came today, is because this is a wonderful opportunity. We have a great keynote, and I'm about it. Civil rights are so important. Thank you. cohesive, it's collaborative, it's intersectional. And as Chaplain Mitchell was just talking about, the issues of housing and living, that coordinates to health issues. A lot of percentages, a lot of people who are homeless in the streets are people who have chronic medical conditions and can't work. Thus they fall behind. Thus they become homeless. When people go into the hospitals, the surgery was done, but then you have to think about, well, what comes next? If they can't afford health care or a private nurse, so forth and so on, they go into facilities. And as the Disabilities Committee, we definitely work to advocate and bring light to this issue. And we work with all of the different committees here to do so. And it's all about civil rights. Civil rights for Black and brown people, especially because we've been set back for so long. And the bottom line is, civil rights are for everyone. But because of the repercussions of how this system was established, we get set back even further. So the American Disabilities Act is for everyone, but people who are Medicaid recipients tend to not get those advantages because they don't have a lawyer on, speed dial that get paid hundreds of dollars an hour to sue someone for not giving them the civil rights. The things that are a national standard, that technically, in theory, the human rights law of New York State, that'll work for some people. But if you're homeless, or if you're on Medicaid, or you're a certain income bracket, well, it becomes questionable, it becomes optional. And we're not for it, we're not having it, we're bringing awareness to it. So thank you for all of your points, Chaplain Mitchell, and I will move on. We will be talking more about the Disabilities Committee and this great event that we have coming up. But I will go ahead and move forward with the introduction. Have I missed anyone? Why did you? Oh, okay, no problem. Come up. This is Reverend Word. She also wears many, many, many hats. And she's helping us back at the refreshment table. And she's also always a welcome voice to be heard.
Yeah. Hi, God bless you. I'm here in the capacity of being a crisis volunteer. And I want to share with you some of my experiences. People have called here, and of course they're supposed to call here, but they come with a lot of allegations about being mistreated on the job, in housing. And one thing, the reason I came up here, because one thing we need to fully understand is we have a right to know. And one way in getting your right to know is to ask for something in writing. Anybody who's an employee has a right to know what the employer's policy and rules and procedures are. Anybody who's in a hospital has a right to know what they're entitled to being patients. Wherever you are, if there's services being offered, you have a right to have it in writing. Therefore, if you read what's written and you really believe, anybody believes that they have been wronged, they have evidence, that proven evidence. And that's what lawyers really need. They don't go on words only. So the reason I came up here, because it's a wonderful audience here, and you can share the information, but please explain to people, whatever services they are supposed to receive, the only way to make sure they're receiving those services is to get it in writing. And if they have a complaint, bring the policy and procedures with them so the person they're seeking assistance with, legal assistance, can also read and understand what their allegations are about. So I want to thank you all for listening, and God bless you all. Good day.
Thank you, Sister Word. Again, I even forgot. Yeah, she's here all the time with Crisis. She wears so many hats, I forgot about that one. Yes. And definitely the Crisis team is the intricate part of the work here at the House of Justice. We have a subcommittee of the Disabilities Committee. If you've noticed, I've been saying Chaplain Mitchell, Chaplain Pate. There's a lot of chaplains here, and I'm very blessed to be in that number. And I thank the National Action Network for helping bring that training into fruition. It has changed my life. It's helped me grow, and I'm ever growing and working towards service and growing in that service. And we also want to talk a little bit about the chaplaincy subcommittee. And one of our members, Chaplain James Lickett, is going to tell you a little bit about the chaplaincy component of what we do here at the House of Justice and a little bit about the training we received through Reverend Kim Osorio and the New York State Chaplain Task Force.
All right. This is gonna be fun. All right. I'm Chaplain James. My story is I came from prison to a badge, and I didn't have fear of caring, but I didn't let anyone stop me. You can't let anyone stand in your way because you get a lot of no's. You get a lot of people telling you can't do this. Don't believe it. You can do anything you want to do. Just settle down and work to get it. Find out what's needed and put yourself there. Now I'm a trauma-trained chaplain, first responder of the First Order, and I love it. My thing is teaching people to free their minds. It's a process I began in prison, matter of fact. I had to free my mind before I left there. Then when I left there was nothing stopping me. And that's what I espouse to, that's what I try to get people to do in any way I can. And I want to thank Reverend Al because he gave me the opportunity to become a chaplain. It wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard. The only thing I had to do was study, and the process was beautiful, and I loved it. And I say that to say anything you want to do, make it happen. Don't get discouraged. Don't get dismayed, and don't listen to the naysayers. There are many about that. Oh, you can't do that. How you know? You know, don't let people stop you. You can do what you want to do. Just make it happen. You can be what you want to be. Just make it happen. And that's it. Thank you very much. So much fun.
Okay, thank you, Chaplain. And again, as mentioned, that is a component of the Disabilities Committee that was actually first through the Second Chance Committee. And we're growing, so we also invite you to become involved if you'd like to learn more about chaplaincy component. For example, when Sandra Mitchell mentioned that we came, multiple people, because that was a component of the chaplaincy. Sometimes it's amazing what a word of prayer will do, or just a presence. Because like I said, sometimes you don't even have to open your mouth. As a chaplain, especially with the HHCs, most of the populations, when I get those crisis calls and I go, they're usually HCC. Sometimes I don't even open my mouth. I have my pin on, and they ask for the ID. Here is my ID. Things instantly change. Bed sheets get changed. Food gets brought in. People, when you don't even have to say anything, but presence, a presence of God, a presence of just caring makes all the difference in the world. And we definitely encourage you all to get involved in whatever way you see fit in your skill set. Let's take a minute. Mother Kennedy, who is a longtime member, is also going to say something, but before we do, I would like to give a narrative. There's nothing like showing what the advocacy and the work is about. I would like to welcome to the stage right now Tibby Saunders Gomez and Joby Gomez to read a poem about disabilities and be the face, literally, of what we can do and the empowerment that we do have as a community. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tybee, and this is my son Joby, and I've written several poems. This particular one that I'm going to share with you today is called Discrimination, the Virus. God inspired me to write this because that's someday everybody should hear this poem. Discrimination is like a virus. It spreads like wildfire, so it's hard to put it out. You'll need to work nonstop. It takes manpower and other commitments, like time, money, and equipment. For what? You don't like a suggestion, or perhaps it was their question. Or is it someone thinks there's something that you don't like, so you share this on your microphone, causing others to feel like you. So how long will it take before this plague is gone? Until the victim moves on? So then what? You've spread this virus. Something you said won't quit. So we can't pretend that it doesn't exist. Now it's tried out on another victim. But what it takes to make it stop is don't pass it on, because it's wrong. Keep it to yourself and pray with someone else. Ask God to help you stop it, the negative feelings, and pray for positive energy like love and understanding. And don't spread it again, because it's not a good friend. Let this virus end. Thank you. One day you'll hear the other poem, Discrimination is a Pain. That was inspired by the movement of George Floyd and how companies start talking about diversity and inclusion. Thank you again.
And that was a great segue into our talent component. Give them another big round of applause. At this time, I want to bring Andrea up because it's Women's History Month. Andrea, are you here? Andrea, come on up and sing your song in reference to Women's History Month. Yes. And we're going to set the tone for that. Then we're going to have Lorenzo Vaughn, who is president of the Man Performing Activist Troupe, and then we're going to have Reverend John Dillard going to come up and perform. But right now, we're going to have Andrea do her thing as we segment, because Nan's got talent, and we are the loudmouths of the National Action Network, Nan Arts and Culture.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrea Sanders, and because of Women's History Month, I'm going to sing about one of my icons, and her name is Harriet Tubman. And there was a song that was written by a person by the name of Cynthia Erivo, who happens to be of Nigerian descendant, and she wrote a song, and it's Stand Up, which also means Ndea. So when you hear the beginning of the song, it's Ndea, which means stand up. And at the end, she says, I go to prepare a place for you. Because that was when during the time when she went and she came up north and she prepared the way for the rest of the slaves that was in bondage in the South. And she says that she could have delivered a lot more out of slavery, but they didn't know that they were slaves, which was a sad commentary. So I'm going to sing the song. My sinuses are kind of acting up, so if I make a mistake, take it to God. I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. The weight on my shoulder, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. Oh, I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. When the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. I hear freedom calling, Jones. Oh, yeah, 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 yes. Early in the morning, ooh, before the sun begins to rise, I'm gonna keep moving, ooh, toward that separating line. Waiting to find you know I got a made of mine. I made up my mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood along the way to salvation. I'm gonna fight with the strength that I got until I die. That's when I'm gonna stand up. Take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I don't mind what's around the bend. Might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail. But Lord knows I've tried. Just stars fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, I hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. 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 My name is Andrea Sanders, also known as Adria. I have 2 songs out that I wrote, sang, and produced, and the names of the song is A Motorcycle and Gifts, and I'm working on quite a few more. So check me out on major social media platforms. Thank you. Bye.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, thank you so very much. And there's more to come. We are a talented bunch of people here at the House of Justice. We're going to get ready to start our program, the disabilities trauma portion of it. we're glad to have this opportunity to get to know the work that we do here at the House of Justice a little bit better, and the leadership and members who contribute to all the work that we do. We're going to go ahead and have our last committee speak, and followed up by a summary, a welcome by Jules Giddens, and then we will have our keynote speak. Just as a reminder, as I ask Mother Kennedy to make her way forward, we will have a question and answer portion, so any questions or things you don't understand or you want to elaborate, tap me around and I'll give you one of the cards to write down your questions. Again, thank you. There's so many committees, not all could be here, but we want to thank the Youth Huddle. We want to thank the Veterans Affairs that works with the crisis team. Reverend Word did speak a little bit about crisis. I'm also on the crisis team, but there's so much and so many ways for you to get involved. I'm assuming that Goldie spoke a little bit about membership. These are in the back where how you can join. But Mother Kennedy, please come and speak a little bit about the LGBT activism that is done here with the New York City chapter. And we welcome you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mother Kennedy.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Whoops. Uh-oh. Just a little bit of history. LGBTQ started 1969, and 1969 here on the East Coast at Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village. And the reason for that was because at that time, that Friday, we were out in the streets from that Friday until the Monday. And what had happened was, Friday was the wake for Judy Garland. This happened June 1969. And everybody in Stonewall was all dressed up in their finery and was going uptown to view Judy Garland. When they got up there, the lines were like around the block everywhere, because people had come from all over the world to get one last chance to look at Judy Garland. So the people that had came from Stonewall, that was in line, and all of a sudden, a thunderstorm broke out, and it started thunder, lightning, raining, everybody's finery got wet, and so they went back to the Stonewall Inn in the village in order to still lament and talk about Judy Garland, who was a friend to the gay community. So the cops used to have a habit of pulling raids in Greenwich Village. Don't know how much you all knew about it, but they would raid the bars. And what they would do, they would bring a police matron. They didn't even call, and back in those days, we're talking 1969, they didn't call women police officers. They called them matrons. So they would bring a matron with them when they would come and raid the bars. And when they would do that, if a woman that was in a man's suit or men's clothing didn't have on a bra and panties for the police matron to search, they were searched and then thrown in a paddy wagon to go to jail. Same thing with the men. If the men were in women's clothing and they didn't have on briefs or t-shirts, they were beaten. Well, the men were beaten up. Some of the women got beaten up too, but the men were mostly beaten up and thrown in the paddy wagon off to jail. So this was the time that they pulled their last raid in 1969 at Stonewall. When they got back to Stonewall Inn, lo and behold, the cops was in there, and in those days all they had was little walkie-talkies, and they couldn't really call for backup. There was a football player who used to come in from California, dress and drag on the weekend, and go back to California on the Monday. And they got into the Stonewall Inn, and right behind him was a little transgender person of color, Marsha P. Johnson. When they got in the bar, the football player, he turned around, he got out, Marsha P. Johnson right behind him, and they used to have these big old signs that said, "This is a rated premises." And when that was happening, then nobody could go in or out. So when the football player got out, and Marsha P. Johnson got out, she took the sign down and took the sign with her. The word went through the streets. Long story short, the bars emptied out, and that's when gay people started fighting back against the police. This is in 1969. I was there. As I always say, eyewitness news. Yeah, I was there. And it lasted from Friday until that Monday. Go from the present time, go from that time into today. What has happened was that the American Psychiatric Association decided to declare homosexuality not only for an illness, they said it was a disease. And so those people that were in the Psychiatric Association who were gay and in the closet, they were fighting on the inside, and there were those of us out on the outside and in the streets. Because by this time, people were beginning to feel that we could fight for our rights. So that was the beginning. And I was a Stonewall veteran, and then I was the first openly gay person in National Action Network when it began. So from that time on to this, at one time we did have an LGBTQ committee, but it was disbanded, and now we're starting over again. So then if people are interested in being part of the LGBT committee, we have to have 10 people, and I'm working on it. So far we've got 3, so we need 7 more. And the thing is, you don't have to be a gay to be part of the LGBT. We have allies and we have friends, and this is how over the years we've had allies and we've had friends that have fought with us and for us, you know, and so that's where we're at here. The new committee is going to be a little different. The difference is going to be that we're going to have a sister group and a brother group. And so the brothers that are gay will have their, you know, we be the umbrella, but the brothers who are gay will have their group, and the women that are gay will have, and our friends will have our group. And we will meet at the same time, but this is the new way that we're doing with the committee, because it seems to work better that way, you know, when the sisters are able to sit together and do what they have to do, and the brothers be together and do what they have to do. Now, on that note, that was what we were doing, and that's what we're doing, and this is where we are in the present time. Also, please, please, please do not forget to sign up for the convention, because it's one of the most, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, get on the phone, call everybody you know all across the country. The convention is free. You do have to call National Action Network and sign up, call up, sign up, go on the, you know, go online, go whatever you have to do. But make sure you tell everybody that we're going to be there at the Sheraton Times Square Hotel in Manhattan from April 12th until April 14th. And we want to see your face in the place. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Kennedy. We all appreciate you so much. And here's the problem, when you start naming names, please blame my mind, not my heart. We're doing so much work. There's somebody had also, the sports committee, Mr. Arthur, that team, thank you so much. We'll let you know a little bit about that. Of course, the staff, that goes without saying. Thank you, staff. Thank you, guardians. Thank you, everyone. We are gonna have a little bit of there's information in the back about it, but we're gonna have one of the founders of Stop False Police Reporting speak a little bit. All right. And then Mo, if you could make your way up, or Mr. Arthur, that'd be great.
We gotta lift this up from the tall guys in here, 6'5". Good afternoon, man. Good to be here. Really, really. Happy Women's Month, yes? Let's hear it for the ladies. Thank you. Yes. My name is Anthony Dolce, and I'm the Executive Director and founder of the Stop False Police Reporting Group and Initiative. Senator Kevin Parker is sponsoring my initiative to end false police reporting by law enforcement and civilians in the state of New York. I am asking lawmakers to make it a felony when any civilian or police officer lies against any protected class of person in the state of New York. I'm also asking lawmakers to make their faces known known who these perpetrators are in a public database. So when they are convicted of false reporting, we will know who the police officers and civilians who are committing this crime. We need to know who they are so we can identify them and weed them out of our police force and let the police officers do their job. It takes away from time and money and police officers chasing real criminals on the street instead of chasing lies and false reporting by civilians. So this is something that I'm very, very passionate about. This initiative and this group was inspired by the 10 times that I was wrongfully placed in handcuffs by my former landlord, Dorchester Towers, who had instructed their employees to call the police on my family while we were residents of the building. So our group is going to help advocate for justice for cases like mine. We agree with the unqualified immunity, which is dealing with the civil side, but our group and our initiative is going to deal with the criminal side. We want to have these perpetrators prosecuted with a felony when they file false police reports. And let me also say that criminals also have constitutional rights. Police officers do not have the right to add additional false statements to further try to incarcerate that person. If they broke the law one time, let it stand for one time. You do not have the right to add more things in there that are untrue. So that's what we're fighting for. You can follow me and our group on Facebook at Stop False Police Reporting. My name is Anthony Dolce, and we are the Stop False Police Reporting group. And I also want to say that I love Nan, Reverend Sharpton, the Sharpton family, all my Nan family. You guys give me the inspiration to fight and keep fighting, and I'm going to keep fighting until we get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you, and as we move on quickly, I just want, and Mo comes to the mic, I also just want to acknowledge Chairman Coswell and his team. Thank you very much for your support. They also are collaborative with this joint effort. And here is Mo from the Sports Committee. Hey Mo, thank you.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Everybody all right? All those beautiful NAM members. Okay, so yes, the Sports Committee is a sports committee. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's headed up by, of course, Facility Manager Mr. Arthur and Mr. Stan Mallory. So the Sports Committee, basically what we're trying to aim to do this year is with the youth. We're trying to get young people into the organization, part of the organization. We're trying to look for the next young dynamic individuals who can push this movement forward. And that can, and one of the ways of bringing those young people in here is the Sports Committee being a portal through basketball, football, whatever the sport is. I'm sure you all have kids and grandkids that play a sport. We're trying to enter a tournament. We're going to be playing, in the tournament in the summertime, in which we were champions already. We took it was called the Gladiator Tournament, and they have it every summer in the back by the water. And I wasn't here when they took the championship, but Mr. Arthur and God bless his soul, Mr. Al Gentry, they brought the team to a championship. And we just ask that you guys engage as many young people as you can. Bring them to the huddle. At the huddle, we meet them there, get them into the Sports Committee. We got to get our young people in here. We got to get it moving. We got to get it going. So I just ask that you help, the Sports Committee get that going. We need more young numbers in here, and I just beg for your help doing that. But we're going to do some big things this year. It's about time that all committees stepped up a notch, all of us, So let's help each other out. Let's just support each other. All right.
Thank you, Mo, and now we will hear from Julie.
I just want to say good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joel Gittens, and I'm the co-chair of the NAN Political Action Committee. I just basically want to thank NAN Disability Committee, Naomi Jones, for inviting everyone, along with committee members, staff, and associates to their forum, the Chapter Collaborative Trauma Summit today at the National Action Network. Most people think of collaborative trauma as a physical injury and disease when they think of disabilities. However, mental illness conditions such as post-traumatic stress, they call it PSTD, are disabilities related to emotional stress, which is a state of mental anguish that can take on a wide variety of forms. Today, we are fortunate to have our keynote speaker. Her name is Dr. Felicia Pullen, who basically is the founder, president, CEO of Let's Talk Safety, as our host speaker today. Thank you for coming out. Dr. Pullen's message today basically will feature on the various initiatives to reduce collaborative disability trauma as well as social equity development and give us better understanding on the using multi-tier initiative to promote healthier and safe communities dealing with mental health issues. I also basically want to mention our NAN chapter's collaboration who worked with the initiative and worked also with the NAN Disability and Naomi Jones to basically kind of help this made possible. So everybody out there, I don't want to start calling names or committees, but I just basically want to say thank you so much for everybody coming together and making this day possible. I just basically want to say thank you so much for your assistance in helping make this day possible. If anyone needs more information on the disability trauma issues, please reach out to Chaplain Naomi Jones at nan.disabilities@nationalnetwork.net or either call 1-877-626-4651 or visit NAN's social media page on Facebook, Instagram at NAN New York Cabinet, or go to the nationalnetwork.net to find other details, and if you wish to actually join, you can do that also. Also, let's remember, again, just basically kind of re-emphasizing our national convention, and basically after Red spoke today, I think everybody should sign up and make it a point to be there this year. And it's scheduled, absolutely, and it's scheduled from April 12th to the 15th at the New York Sheraton Hotel. And please, you have to register, so make sure you register if you plan to attend. Go to the website, nationalnetwork.net, and again, please register if you plan to attend. In closing, again, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who took the time out to attend our forum in person today or watched online virtually. Everyone have a blessed and wonderful day. Peace and blessings to all.
Thank you, Joel. I appreciate you. It's that time. I am so happy. The Lord works in mysterious ways. I'm grateful for the reminder of all the hard work that we do here at the House of Justice in the New York City chapter. So thank you for this reminder. I hope you've learned a little bit more. But now it's time for our keynote. Dr. Pullen. I'm so excited. I'm just really happy. I'm going off script for a minute because I'm grateful for her to be here. Like, she's, here in Harlem. A lot of people, they don't make time for you. They're too big time unless you got money for them. They're not trying to see you. They're not trying to donate their time. But there are those that come up and show up every time. And we are grateful for that. She's right here in Harlem. I personally have seen the work that she does. I have seen her put people in cars. I have watched her be a listening ear. I have watched her hug people and offer resources and find and do the due diligence that is necessary for the various healing that our community needs. We need a lot of healing, y'all. And there's more than one way of healing. I even learned, I might say a little, Reiki? Okay. A little bit about that. Acupuncture, things to help you heal besides drugs and so forth and so on, the physical and mental. So I'm very, very grateful to introduce her. We're also, the disabilities community, a lot of us could not have physical things coming this morning. But the virtual component is on. Thank you, Brother Askins, one of our officers who's in the back, who's holding it down. Chaplain Michelle, Chaplain Lawrence, and Chaplain Napper, and also the Harlem Independent Living Center. Thank you all for attending virtually and staying up with us. And just a little bit, besides my personal gratitude for Dr. Pullen, a little bit about her bio. She looks real good on paper, but more than that, I'm telling you, she's about it. Dr. Felicia Pullen is the founder and president and CEO of Let's Talk Safety. It is dedicated to understanding, RIC. Dr. Pullen lives her life in addiction and her journey in recovery out loud. She's not ashamed. And that takes a lot of courage because there's stigmas of these sorts of things. But she lives it out loud. And after a 30-year career in advertising, she surrendered and admitted that she was an active addiction, and she had an active addiction for decades. In 2012, a year after treatment, she entered the Graduate School of Social Service at Fordham University, where she received her master's and doctorate degree in social work policy. As a licensed social worker, Felicia specializes in substance use disorders, prevention, and addiction recovery supports. Her work focuses on community-based approaches to poverty alleviation, the reduction of recidivism, and the development of social equity. Her belief is that through multi-tiered initiatives, we can reduce and activate addiction and promote healthier communities. I want to read that again to make sure that it's comprehended correctly and I verbalized it correctly. Her belief is that through multi-tiered initiatives, we can reduce active addiction and promote healthier communities with options. And this is a civil rights organization. We've had everything from housing to second chance to health to disability, and it all coordinates. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Dr. Felicia Pulliam to the podium.
Good afternoon, family. How are we? Good? Okay. I'm good too. I'm honored to be here. This is my family, and the Nan family is my family, and so with that, it's really great to be back in the people's house. This is the house that the Reverend Al Sharpton built. I first met Dr. Lenora Falani here in this house. It is not only the birthplace of the criminal justice reform, continued work on the Voting Rights Act, police accountability, and thank you for that earlier today, youth leadership, but most importantly, it is the birthplace of the mantra, no justice, no peace. So I'm really honored to have been asked by the NAN Disabilities Committee to be a part of this Collaborative Trauma Summit. And I really want to draw the lens back a little bit because I'm not here to talk about individual trauma. I'm here to talk about community trauma because that's important to the conversation as we look at what's happening in Harlem. So it could only have been God who turned my trauma into a testimony. And so how could I refuse when God asked me to stand up and to be here and to talk about it? So you're probably wondering, who's this woman? We really thought we were going to have a more dynamic speaker. You got me, and I am Dr. Felicia Pullen. Chaplain Jones spoke a little bit about some of the titles that I have. I'm president, CEO of Let's Talk Safety, Inc. That includes Safe in Harlem, which is a teen-led coalition, so every young person in this community is my boss. It also includes the Pillars, which is holistic health and wellness for people like me in active use, but also for people who are loving somebody in active use. Because this is a family issue, it is a community issue, and so I try and bring community solutions to this problem. But among all of those really important sounding jobs that I have, the thing that I am most proud to say is that I am Harlem born and I am Harlem raised. So my intersectionality also includes that I'm a mom to two amazing, funny, and talented young people, Kai and Cameron. They'll probably be hiding right now as I call their names, but that's okay, that's what moms do. But I'm also a daughter to many in this community and a mother to some whom I did not birth. I'm a supportive friend to a lot of women that I get a chance to laugh and to cry with. Professionally, I'm a social worker, I'm a harm reductionist, I'm a prevention specialist, but most of all, I'm an employee of yours. And so it's the teens, it is you, it is the youth leaders in Harlem. I'm a qualitative researcher. Those are the things that I really hold on to, not the titles of president and CEO. They don't mean a damn. It is my work for you that I am most proud. So, I am your follower. You are my leader. You, the residents of Harlem, advise me and tell me what to do. And so it's really the impact of structural racism that I want to speak about today. I'm your conduit when you're not at tables that I get a chance to sit and speak. I am the one that you can come to tell me what it is that you want me to say to those that have the power to create change. But I don't do this work alone. It is here the chaplains, the clergy, the parents, the teens, the committee members, the police officers, the elected officials that you put into power that help me to do the work that I do. And so, when I was asked by Chaplain Naomi Jones to speak here today about the impact of community trauma, it was so easy for me to stand up and say yes. Because this topic is really super important to me. It's the basis of my research, and it's the flame that lights my fire that keeps me going and doing what I do. I commend you for being here, for giving me 3 hours. I have 3 hours to make this speech. For giving me 30 minutes of your time so that we can talk about what's happening in this community. And I'm also going to come up with a couple of solutions to offer as we begin to move forward to heal the trauma in this community. So I hope that we all leave here with a little bit more fire in our bellies, to do better and to be better and to fight harder as we address community trauma in Harlem. So my goals are twofold. I want to educate you about some of the data that is happening that people up high are looking down on in this community. But I also want us to talk about how we can come together to address our own issues as well, because we cannot just put the power into the hands of someone else. We have the power. So when I set about this discussion, I began to do a little bit of research, and I was really super intentional about drawing a direct connection between the words community and trauma. And I began to look at the Latin root of the word community, and I came up with co and com. And you're not going to be surprised that really what that meant was together. So together and with, how do we come together and with as we look at the word community? And so I was really intense about this, and I realized that you have to be willing to come together and to be with. You have to be willing to commune together and to be with. And so I'm just going to put this question out there. Are we willing to come together and to be with one another to address this trauma? I'm glad to hear you give me some feedback, because that was not a rhetorical question. But then as I began to look at the word trauma, and we heard an earlier definition, it means a disordered psychological or behavioral state resulting from severe mental or emotional stress. And then all of a sudden it hit me. It hit me that I was looking at two words that were so dichotomous, that were so different, because one was a willingness to come together, and the other in trauma, there's no willingness to be in trauma. So how was I going to connect these two words and make them make sense, and to also be able to bring some hope to this discussion? I am not willing to sit in community trauma. So I became really profoundly sad, and then I had to get outside of myself and looked at these two diametrically diabolically opposed words, but they were so intertwined because they impact us every day. So together I realized that we had to be willing to heal the wounds that were inflicted upon us. I'm going to say that one more time. The wounds that were inflicted upon us, this is not of our own doing and our own making, to heal the psychological and emotional stress. We have to be willing. I'm not asking you to do anything more right now than to be willing. They say that the community-based trauma that we are experiencing is unintentional marginalization, unintentional oppression. But we know better, don't we, Nan family? We know all too well the intent of structural racism that is contributing to community trauma. We need to call them what they are. They are political determinants of health. They are imposed upon us by those we have put in power to protect us. Let's call it what it is. So really, we have to be willing to be fearless in this fight back for equity. There's a need for equity that is a result of community trauma. It's not a secret, and I'm going to tell you why I know that this is not a secret and it's not unintentional. In October of 2021, the New York City Board of Health declared, the service and care received by Black New Yorkers reflected long-standing structural racism which impacted their health and well-being, thus defining it as a public health crisis. That is what your government is telling. They're telling you that they know. I love this Q&A. So this means that there's an acute awareness of the intersection of poverty, race, geography, and political determinants of health. And it's been determined to be a byproduct of structural racism that has been levied upon our people, allowed by our government. They're immersed in the data and they're immersed in the numbers, but we are immersed in the reality of what's happening on the ground. And let's talk a little bit about what's happening on the ground in the form of community trauma. Black New Yorkers had the highest rate of increase in overdose deaths, and that happened in East and Central Harlem as numbers 4 and 5 of the neighborhoods with the highest rates. Black New Yorkers are dying at the highest rates of increase of overdose deaths, and East and Central Harlem are communities 4 and 5 out of all of the neighborhoods in all 5 boroughs of New York City. So they're immersed in that data, but we are immersed in the reality of what's happening on the ground. Where is their commitment to reducing those and other harms associated with structural racism? Where is their commitment to addressing our community trauma in the form of housing insecurity, mass incarceration, high rates of unemployment, substandard education, and death? We need to hold them accountable for the attack on our community, the infliction of community trauma in which we live and work every day. We are raising our children in this environment every day. So I'm proposing a 2-point plan. One is putting ownership on the electeds that we have put in place. We need to convene them to address these political determinants of health. And the other, I'm going to put on us. So, you may be asking, what are political determinants of health? And so let's talk about that. Mass incarceration. We are still living in a community where there are thousands of black men, women, and children who are under judicial review and or justice involved. Affordable housing. It has been replaced by high-rises, condos, co-ops. High-rises and higher rents over affordable housing. 50,000 people are about to be evicted from their homes due to the pandemic. But where is the commitment to reversing that? Our schools are underfunded. We are looking at districts 5 and 6 with some of the lowest rates of academic achievement in the city. We are pushing through children who are not ready, comparable, and or able to pass through in reading, writing, and arithmetic. Why is this concentrated in this community? And we're supposed to stand back and accept it. Our hospitals have beautiful glass atriums, but not enough healthcare workers or PPE to help us when we need it most. We're looking at NYCHA developments, which used to be a refuge for low-income families, families like mine, that have been abandoned by government, defunded by government, and we are looking at private developers taking over individual units and developments themselves. We have peeling paint, we have poor plumbing, we got rodents, heatless, and living without community centers with child care and or advocacy. Why is that? Where is the commitment to the people? That is community trauma. And it's disproportionately impacting us at higher rates and incidence than anyone else in this city. We are impacted by chronic disease, diabetes, hypertension, depression, anxiety. We are living in community trauma, which has contributed to an increase in adverse childhood experiences. Child maltreatment, adolescent suicidal ideation, intimate partner violence, public consumption of drugs, street homelessness. We are walking through communities with public displays of mental illness. It's concentrated here in Harlem. That is community level trauma. So this concentrated assault on Harlem residents is called structural racism. It's contributing to our collective trauma every day. I want to pull that lens back. It's not about me and my diagnosis that I have been given of depression. I'm talking about a community level trauma that is contributing to our condition. And so what can we do? Right? Because I don't want to just talk about the blight and the plight. What can we do? We put elected officials in office for a reason. And we need to not just go and vote for them and put them in office. We need to also hold them accountable for the role that they have as being our voices in Albany and in DC. So you can call them, you can write them, you can go to their offices, you can demand that they use their political capital to advocate in Albany and in DC for improved and equitable health and wealth outcomes for us. So the answers are really rooted in the essence of the problem. They need to develop financial channels for the attainment of fair and equitable education, housing, employment, nutritious food, child care, health care, community resources, and social supports. We deserve that, people. We deserve that. But guess what? We too have a part to play in this. We cannot just put the ownership and onus on our electeds. We too have a part to play, and here it is. We, Black people, need to move beyond complacency and develop a movement toward equity. We need to do this on the ground. We need to do this in the media. We need to do this with our neighbors, and we need to do this at the legislative level. So I am proposing that we, Black people, openly and intentionally counter those narratives about Black people. That we are hungry, we're poor, we're addicted, we're unemployed, we're homeless, we're housing insecure, justice involved, dropouts and deadbeats because we're lazy and we're the main contributors to our own condition. No. It's a lie. Those are lies that are being told about us. We need to continue to expose the fact that we are under a systematic attack, and by doing so, we will publicly address that structural racism is working exactly as it is intended to work. It was designed this way. It was designed to inflict financial, give me a second, judicial, physical, human, cultural, and social trauma on Black people in our Black community. So, I am proposing that we demand the elected officials in this community. It's a community that is connected by bridges on 125th, 135th, 145th, 155th Streets. Build a stronger, bigger, more expansive bridge to better connect us with branches of government who can equitably fund our needs as we determine them to be, not as government determines we should have them. We are the ones that get to determine what we need. I'm proposing that we, Harlemites, put our elected officials to work for us by demanding that they advocate for more affordable housing and fewer luxury developments in Harlem. If they can place a moratorium on medication-assisted treatment programs, they can place a moratorium on additional luxury condos and developments and develop more affordable housing in this community. So the question is, how many of you have asked, where have our neighbors gone that had to disappear from this community because they could no longer afford to live here? I've asked. Affordable housing is a right. It is not a luxury like the developments that are going up. This that I am speaking of is community trauma. Structural racism in the form of community trauma prevents us from the attainment of our human rights. Community trauma contributes to our stigmatization, our stagnation, and our generational trauma. I know that I'm not alone when I am speaking up here. Each of you has been impacted in some way by community trauma. I know that there are others out here with the desire to create a movement toward equity. I know that there are others out here who are willing to go to our electeds and support them in the creation of legislation to change the political determinants of health, which are negatively impacting us. So, when galvanizing, we must think about each other too. Because I know I'm in the house of a place of action, right? It's called the National Action Network. Okay, just want to make sure I knew where I was. So let's talk about how we can take action. There are things that each of us can do to help heal this community trauma. The dictionary said that community is a group of people living together in one place, especially one practicing common ownership. And you may be asking, well, what type of ownership do we have? Especially today with the new Harlem. But I'm going to tell you how we can move toward the movement. Our ownership is far beyond the property that we live in. It's more about the mindset toward our community and about each other. Our house is where we are, especially when we're in this community. Our house is our thinking about our brothers and our sisters, our commitment to help the men and women, and about our mutual respect for those that we live and work with every day. So please, I want you to just stop and take action and take a second and to think about the condition of your house. Does your space up here and in here need to be renovated? Do you need to reconstruct your foundational thinking about who you are in conjunction to the rest of this community? How has community trauma impacted you and others around you? How often do you clean your house? Do you take inventory of your thoughts and your actions toward your man, woman, and child next to you in this community? I'm asking you to join me in the construction site to build bridges which will connect us in our house, in our hearts, in our spirits. I'm asking you to help build bridges between generations and to pass the blueprints on to our young people that we talked about today, our teens, our youth, and our young adults. I'm asking you to see them as the next step of contractors in our community as we build our house and heal community trauma. Every day, I just ask God for two things. Just two. One is the willingness to be able to hear what He is asking of me. The willingness to hear what He is asking of me, because see, I can get in my own way. The second thing I ask is that I have the willingness to do what He is asking me to do the first time He asks me. Because I can get in my own way. Usually it's around the third time He asks me and He's screaming in my ear that I'm like, all right, God, I heard you, here I come. So I'm asking for two things. The ability to hear and the willingness to take action the first time. And every day He speaks back. Every day He asks me to do something. He says, I want you to reach out your hand and grab somebody else's in Harlem. And that's what I do. I got people in here who can attest to that. I walk hand in hand with them every day. I convene on your behalf as well. Doctors and clergy and politicians and community partners and NYPD and friends to build the bridges and fill those gaps in services and to assist where I cannot do the work. So I am proposing that we create a movement a second Harlem Renaissance that rejuvenates the dignity of Harlem's original inhabitants, because it is this community that we live and work and play, that we seek to leave a legacy far beyond the brownstones and the jazz notes in our second Harlem Renaissance. So what can you do? What part do you want to play? What legacy do you want to leave in this community? That's questions for you to ask yourselves right now. Can you look at other Harlemites and smile? Can you ask them the question that I ask others every day, and that is, how can I be of service to you today? Can you hold the door open just for another second for somebody to get through? And can you compliment somebody without asking or seeking or expecting one in return? So I'm going to tell you what I will continue to do, because I'm your servant. I will continue to coalesce our electeds. I will continue to create programming. I will continue to cultivate relationships with those that have the purse strings in Albany and in DC. I will convene, I will rally with you, I will educate, I will advocate, I will activate, I will delegate, and I will relegate on your behalf, because I am your servant. I will demand equity in funding, equity in research, and equity in financial, employment, housing, and social opportunities for my people. I will speak truth to power when discussing the impact of political determinants of health on Black people. I will fight for my Black people to live, to work, to play in a community that is clean, accessible, and affordable for all, not just for the new Harlemites. Harlem, my Nan family, I am yours. I am here. I'm a loud voice at the tables where you are not. So in this Q&A, I need you to tell me what you want me to say at tables that I am sitting and you are not. What changes do you want to see? How can I best serve you? I pray that we commemorate this day with the cultivation of our two-point plan. One, to dismantle the political determinants of health, which have negatively impacted Harlem residents in the form of structural racism. And two, to move beyond complacency and to develop a movement toward equity. See, this is the foundation toward a comprehensive plan to bring racial, health, and wealth equity to Harlem and to heal community trauma. And so I'm going to ask you to say what I've heard you say so many times before. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. Thank you.
Yes, come on, let's give her a loud thank you. Thank you. I would like to take this time as we thank her for her keynote to welcome people to walk up with any questions that you may have to start forming, and then I'll call you to the mic. Of course, as the Disabilities Committee, we want to be cognizant of various disabilities and so forth and so on. So I have some questions written down for those who are virtual and or
camera shy and or anxiety or what have you. But anyone that's physically here that would like to ask a question, now is the time. Please step up. As we wait for people to form a line. All right, Chapel Page, good to go. Yeah, good. As people come to the front, I'm going to read some of the ones that have already been written down. The first question is, what can we as a community do to assist furthering members deal with their trauma? And can you give specific examples and specific types of trauma that we're working through?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So I talked a little bit about some of the specific trauma that we are dealing with on the individual level. That trauma includes depression, anxiety, adverse childhood experiences. That includes intimate partner violence. So those are all traumatic events. But I also want to talk about the community level trauma, right? I want to talk about the public use, the addiction, the mental health issues that we are walking through every day. That is community level trauma. And so the question is what can we do about it? In addition to, coalescing our electeds, there are things that we can do individually. And so one of the things that I have created here in Harlem is a health and wellness center specifically for my people in Harlem. And so there are opportunities, and you heard Chaplain Jones talk about addressing some individual trauma through Reiki, through meditation, through acupuncture, through Reiki. All of those things that I mentioned are completely free to you, Harlem community. I don't ask for insurance. I don't ask for any monetary forms of exchange. All I ask is that you show up for yourselves if you're looking to address your own individual and personal trauma. On the other side, in terms of political determinants of health, we have to go to the politicians in order to do that. We put them in office. How many times have you just checked the mark because you recognized the name and never went back and asked what they were doing? You better keep your eye on the ball. This community didn't become the new Harlem all by itself. You have to keep your eye on the ball. Don't turn your back. Show up, call, see something, say something. So I hope that that answered all of those questions, Chaplain. Were there others that I did not?
I will get to them, but
okay.
There are people who are waiting to speak.
Awesome. How are you?
Good afternoon. Probably the most traumatic experience in my life is when I had a knee replacement about 6 years ago. And when I came out of surgery and the anesthesia wore off, I was in the most excruciating pain I ever experienced in my life. And there was nothing they could do to get me to get rid of that pain. And they were giving me morphine, and they gave me some button. I have to keep pressing the button for morphine, but the pain wouldn't go away, and I kept pressing the button, but the button only allows you to get a certain dosage of morphine. So it was the most traumatic experience in my life 6 years ago, which is when I had this knee replacement on my right knee. But I must say, since I had the knee replacement, I have not felt pain not one day in 6 years. So now I'm in need of the left knee replacement. And I'm very fearful because I don't want to experience that traumatic experience again. And incidentally, when they stuck that needle in the back, in my spine, that was so painful because they were sticking the needle in my spine. And now that I need another replacement, I gotta go through all of that all over again. And for me now, it's a traumatic experience. So I just want to see what feedback I can get from you on that.
That is definitely trauma, right?
Yeah.
Post-traumatic stress is causing your fear to move forward with the other side. And so I would certainly advise you to speak with your physicians. I am not the kind of doctor that could save your life if something happens here. But what I can also advise, suggest, is to hold on to that piece that you mentioned. You said, I have not felt pain since the healing happened. And so how can you tap into that as your strength to move forward to take care of the other side? And that's the piece that is going to be the struggle, to move past the fear and the trauma that was impacted, to really concentrate on the greatness of, I have not felt pain since having it done. That's going to take some internal work, but that's the suggestion that I have for you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. Thomas, what hospital were you at here?
What hospital? Yeah. New York Presbyterian.
That's a good hospital.
Yes, sir.
Check out hospital special surgery.
Pardon?
Hospital special surgery.
Oh, hospital special
Yeah,
surgery.
you need a new doctor.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, just to interject on that a little bit, but that's true. One more again, about the Medicaid issue. Again, it's about the Medicaid issue. It's your doctor. Yes, there are things that could have been done for pain for you. It could have, would have, should have been, but how is that going to be paid for? Who was going to pay for it? And did they have the time and or were willing to do that? So it also always follows back to the social economical aspect of it. Trauma is real. Sometimes we have a choice and some things are beyond our control. I mentioned earlier, I just recovered from surgery. And let me tell you, it does make a difference who your doctor is, where the hospital is, and what is covered and what is not covered, and also what you know. Meaning, like, I'm sorry, pain management is a whole entire profession. There are a lot of doctors who don't do anything but anesthesia and pain management. That's what they get paid for. Now, whether they accept your insurance or value your time, that's a whole different other question. But please be aware and keep yourself informed about your rights and your regulations. And also, it is an emotional thing. Sometimes you just got to pray on it and struggle through it. Surgery is not easy. It is not fun. It's dangerous and it's hard. Even though the rewards and the turnout might be great, it's still not an easy road. So we'll be praying for you, and we will definitely support you as you always support us, and thank you for that question.
Okay, so my name is Mo. I had a I'm shifted from medical to housing real quick. So let's just talk about Harlem, 110th to 155th Paladino to Riverside. So some of the housing that's coming up, like you may go on a block and see a building that can only occupy 4 people, and it's on Housing Connect, and the minimum that a person has to make, let's say, is $70,000 up to $188,000. So, you know, a lot of people say, even with the issue with Project 145, people want to know the difference between affordable housing and low-income housing. You know, a lot of people, we had a forum here, and there was a lot of confusion. So my question is, I'm trying to put it together so you can answer it in its entirety. When it comes to people in housing, especially people who have vouchers, whether there's a girl with a DV case or mental, or you're just in there to get a soda voucher or city feps, as you see, they've been raising the amount on these vouchers so they can entice the landlords to take people in. But landlords are very sketchy about taking tenants who have vouchers. You know, I hear that they're promised to get signing bonuses if you sign someone who has a voucher to the apartment and things like that. Now, with Housing Connect, the issue is, of course, it's a lottery thing. But if you get a lot of people that get picked are people that's coming in from out of town, people who reach those, you know, you have to make in between. If the minimum is $20,000 and the maximum is $80,000, you can't make a penny under or over, or you'll get an email saying, sorry, you've been disqualified. So, and then if you look at the bottom of a lot of those Housing Connect applications, it'll say 50% city worker or 40% community board, and then 2% hearing impaired and 2% wheelchair bound. That just sounds crazy. So my question is, how can we create a better relationship and a more solid relationship when it comes to searching for housing in low-income communities and getting around that whole barrier of having to make this amount and that amount, you know, where it really caters to the person. Because even with here, you know, this man didn't want to, he tried to do a 30-floor high-rise, and a high-rise here, you know, Esplanade wasn't having it. They was going to mess up their view. Everybody had an issue with it. And Diddy comes back to the drawing board with promises to add more housing to entice people to come in. So how can the low-income people in this community get into those apartments, like cut through that red tape? Like, because it's just like everybody's not on the same page in the city. DHS, Housing Connect, everybody's just all over the place.
So I don't know how we cut through red tape, but what I can tell you is that there is a difference between affordable and low income, right? Affordable is relative. What you can afford compared to what I can afford, compared to what somebody else can afford, is relative, right? Low income is based on the federal poverty line. That's different. And so when a community such as ours, where 60% of the people are living at or below 100% of the federal poverty line, that is what is designated as a low-income community. I don't have an easy answer to how do you cut through the red tape. What I do know is that there are a lot of organizations in this community that are designed to support people as they are searching, using their FEPS, using ERAP, using organizations like Project Renewal. There are organizations here that can support, that have a lot more power than we as individuals trying to cut through red tape. My organization is called The Pillars. Pillars on St. Nick between 124 and 125. It's 289 St. Nicholas Avenue between 124 and 125. It's absolutely beautiful. Come in and we can sit down and help support. And if we can't do it, we can connect you to who can.
Thank you. And I just want to ask some questions. Thank you, Mo. That was a great question because literally there's 3 other questions that kind of center around housing. And from the clinical aspect, I want to ask a question to you. Again, you had mentioned trauma is both physical and mental, correct?
Absolutely. So we just heard an example of physical trauma.
Okay.
The gentleman that was speaking about his knee replacement, that's physical trauma. Okay. Right? There's psychological trauma, there's community-based trauma.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing, where to go? But anyway, based on these questions, affordable mental health services, they're asking what they can do about that for seniors, and as well as what can we do with a plan in regards to trauma. And it's in addition to everything that Mo said, there's a common thread here. So I want us to understand and center it back to trauma, and the disabilities and the political action and the other committees here have collaboratively done this effort. And this is exactly that, it's collaborative. Because Mo mentioned DV, okay? If that ain't trauma, I don't know what is. We need to understand the legal jargon behind what DV means and disabled. Disabled does not mean in a wheelchair. It means so much more than that. Just like trauma means so much more than that. So when we're talking about HPD, Housing Preservation, Department of Homeless Services, we have to remember, you have to know your rights. You have to enforce your rights. You have to advocate for yourself and or get with a group to do that. Because if you were a part of the NAN Disabilities Committee and somebody would come to you with that mess, you would remind them that people living with disabilities are a protected class federally. They are a protected class statewide. They are a protected class citywide. So reasonable accommodation applies to all that. But for example, the housing lottery, those income things don't matter if you have a voucher. They're not gonna tell you that. But you have to own it. And they find little nuances to stop that, which within itself can be very traumatic. Meaning, oh, well, can you prove you're disabled? A person like you're saying that to a person who physically you can see the disabilities. That's neither here nor there because per the law, the legal jargon says even if you've been regarded as disabled. So all that to just go and say, please contact us and the other resources that are available for more, but do your homework, ask questions, be a loudmouth. We all sitting up here in the House of Justice, and Reverend Shaw even this morning mentioned how you have to be a loudmouth. You know what? You have to say, that's not right, I don't agree, explain it to me. Because, again, I heard protected classes in that. I heard domestic violence, homelessness. What is your homelessness stemming from? So if you have a right to appeal if you are denied those housing projects. And again, if you're actually in the system, the tenant lottery selection happens only after they meet the quota that was established from your community board. So go to your community board meetings. It's collaborative, it's legal, it's social, it's economical, but thank you for asking those questions. That's a common theme. But again, as it has been said, trauma is related to housing. A lot, not all, but a lot of the people that you see dealing with homelessness or being underserved or underhoused are people who are dealing with chronic medical conditions. So let's keep that in mind and remember, you do have a right to help yourself and help others in the community. Brother Dan. And again, don't forget about privilege, y'all. It's a wonderful resource. I can get things there that Medicaid won't even pay for. I don't know anywhere else you can get acupressure or puncture, you know, without an extremely costly bill.
I hear that. Well, moving forward, I'm voicing progressive 24-hour drop-in services are needed for youth and adults to provide resources, safeties, and communal stability. How can this be achieved, and how do you identify this premise is supported by qualitative research data?
Right in my wheelhouse. Who gave me that one? You know, I just want to talk about some financial levies that were placed on this community relative to a 24-hour center to address the mental health needs of the women, men, and children in this community. And so I'm also a grant writer, right? And so everything that I do, I have Harlem in mind as I write these grants. And so I just submitted a grant to the Office of Mental Health. And it was to open a 24-hour intensive crisis stabilization center here in Harlem. It was beautifully designed in my head. It had leather lounge chairs that would massage you just to kind of give you a little moment of respite. It was very spa-like, but it also had psychiatrists and nurse practitioners, those that were child-informed in psychological, emotional trauma. We do know that the rates of suicidal ideation among our Black children is increasing. We see the public use, the public mental health that is happening here in Harlem, and so I wrote this grant. And then I got a call saying, we're really sorry we were unable to fund you last week. Last week, I'm not talking last year, I'm talking last week. And so I asked why, and I said, I need a debrief. And they began to go through these responses that were not even written in my grant, one of which saying I didn't have a fully formed cultural competency plan. Well, tell me how a Black woman from Harlem cannot be culturally responsive in responding to my Black people. And so, we didn't get that money yet. And so I need you, if you feel like you need a 24-hour intensive crisis stabilization center, you need to stand up and speak up and go and tell the Office of Mental Health of the state of New York so. Because I can't do this fight by myself. So now it's my job to stand here and respond line by line about some stuff that was not even in there. And so I began to ask questions. I said, well, did you fund anybody in Harlem? And the response was no. I said, okay. Because remember, we're communities 4 and 5 of the top 5 neighborhoods of all neighborhoods in New York City with the highest rates of incidence, right? I didn't make that up. The city told us so. And so my second question was, well, did you fund anybody in Manhattan? And the answer was no. And I said, well, let me tell you what we're dealing with on the ground. While you're looking at this high-level data, let me tell you what this looks like on the ground. I'm watching people OD and die in front of my door. And I said, and we're seeing and engaging with men that are coming over from Ward's Island, who are impacted with mental health issues, who are impacted with substance use disorders, who are disengaged in services, and so I want to serve them. And you know what they said to me? Oh yeah, we've read about that in the New York Times. So if you don't like it, if you want more, don't sit there and wait for me to go and get it for you. Come and stand by my side and demand it for yourselves and for your community. So I am doing my part, but this is a hard fight. And they have the money. New York State just got $286 million from an opioid settlement fund. And so the question is, how much are you getting? Are you getting your fair share? I'm doing my part, but I need you to stand with me. And so come to the pillars, sign a petition, tell them that we've had enough. We're not going to keep standing for them, overlooking us, unintentionally marginalizing us, unintentionally oppressing us when the data is there. They are saying, we know that this is structural racism, we know it's impacting Black people, and we're sorry. We've read about that. Enough reading about that.
I'm curious to know which grant funding was that the application you submitted.
It was a grant that was a co-sponsored grant through Oasis and the Office of Mental Health to open an intensive crisis stabilization center 24 hours a day in Harlem.
Thank you for your response.
I'm so blessed that you're here and that you're raising up all these things, because as I sit in focus groups with the Office of Mental Health, with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, where I have my steering committee meeting, and so they told us that we didn't have enough money to continue to do it. We have been advocating, we meaning my peers and my peer specialists, we have been advocating for a drop-in, so-called drop-in center. We didn't like the word drop-in center, but whatever. And we've been advocating for that for 8 to 10 years. We've been saying people need help. They don't need guns, they don't need bullets, they don't need to be dragged off the street like cattle or rabid dogs. And so they said that they would get this money, but it never opened. I will tell my peers, I have access to recovery group through the Urban Justice Center and the Mental Health Empowerment Project. And they were saying, we need to know from you, what do we need to work on? Well, you just gave me what it is that they need to work on, because they won't have their jobs unless they're working on something. You need to work on this here. So
you want me to tell you what you don't know and where your tax dollars are going when they talk about helping Harlemites? Do you know that a task force has been developed and assigned specifically to police Harlem? There are 2 of them. One is going to be down on 42nd Street in Times Square, the other one in Harlem. That's what they're not telling you. So they're putting money to police us, but they're not putting money to help and heal the community trauma that they have inflicted upon us. And so we can do nothing and wait for it to happen, or we can advocate.
Well, the advocacy is through the Mental Health Empowerment Project and the Urban Justice Center, whereas it's peers who've gotten together who have been harmed by the system, harmed by the neighborhoods because of their zip codes, because of their past, and they're not able to rise up because of these things. So I will come to Pillar and sign a petition. I will bring my peers. I will let them know about what it is that you are doing, that you have stood up, and so now we have to stand with you, because it's about community.
Thank
so
you.
I thank you so very
that.
much for that. And
Thank you.
And I talk whenever I need to with the special assistant to the commissioner of the Office of Mental Health. She trained me. So her name is Amanda Sink.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dr. Bullen. We want to be respectful of the time of the staff and it's running short, so I'm going to ask the next questions to be as concise and brief as possible as we close up and get ready. It's been a long morning, but thank God. I was worried maybe it would be not enough time or too much time to kill, but you know, this is an ongoing conversation, the first of many. So.
Good afternoon. Thank you, sister. Power to the people. I just want to ask you, because the brother made a comment, I'm also a licensed real estate broker, so I deal with the housing crisis on a daily basis of minorities with vouchers, whether it's city FEPS, whether it's FEPS, HASA, EHB, Section 8, the whole 9 yards. And what we found, what we're trying to do different over the last year, we try to prepare our people to go in front of these landlords, because surprise, surprise, there's some racism and discrimination and prejudice in housing in New York City. I know that's a shock to people. However, we want to prepare them. I think it would go to distance. How can we help advocate for you? What we're doing, we're preparing our clients. We request for them to do a cover letter, add in some personal reference letters, you know, a brief bio about themselves. They give us the power. So when we go to the landlords, we're saying, hey, we know you're getting flooded with all these vouchers, but this individual is a little different. And we don't want you to judge this individual based on their rental subsidy, but more to the content of the character. Thank you.
Well, I guess that answers the question of how do you cut through the red tape, right? But we also have to understand that a lot of what we're seeing in the shortages, and with 2% being allocated for this type of individual or this segment of the population, is all rooted in tax abatements. It's all rooted in tax abatements for the developers, so.
All right, hi, God bless you, sister. I've been to Pillars more than one time. It's a very lovely, lovely place, and the environment is very, very serene and very helpful. My question is, how many signatures do you need in your petition? And once the petition is fulfilled, what do you do next?
Ooh, I love that, thank you. And so I'll take as many as I can get. What I do know is that there are 60,000 people that are in 10027 alone, right? And so how many, that is a question I will push back to the people. How many do you think you can get? I will do what I need to do with them. I already have a plan to go back to the Office of Mental Health and call what I see as structural racism and a contribution to community level trauma. So once I get them, I will package them. I will package them with the response that I am already about to give, and we will get this done. But I can't do it by myself. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for allowing me
Give a big round
to
of
be here
applause,
with you
everybody.
today.
Lorenzo Bond, come on up. We're going to thank everybody for being here. And of course, the Nancy Got Talent has two performers, but the president of Lorenzo Bond is going to tell you about a project that we're having for touring on the NAN chapters and also for our convention. And then Mr. Dillard, get ready. You're up next.
How y'all feeling out there today? You feeling good? I feel good. People, it's time to get over before we go under. It's time for the payback, the big payback. When you stand black and proud, can't nobody hold you down. So get on a good foot and march to the beat of your own funky drummer. This is a man's world. This is a man's world, but it would be nothing without a woman or a girl. And Papa don't take no mess. I got ants in my pants and I need to dance. Baby, I got the feeling that a new day is dawning. You see, I was bringing the noise and bringing the funk way before them folks were bringing that music to Broadway. So right about now, I'm about to get up and do my thing. Can I get it up? Can I get it up? Yeah. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Now, some people say we got a lot of malice. Some say it's a lot of nerve. But I say we won't quit moving till we get what we deserve. Now we've been buked and we've been scorned. We've been treated bad, talked about, just as sure as you're born. But just as sure as it takes two eyes to make a pair, we won't quit moving till we get our share. Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
One more time. Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
I worked on jobs with both my feet and my hands. But all the work I did was for the other man. Now we deserve a chance to do things for ourselves. We're tired of beating our head against the wall and working for someone else. Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud. Yeah.
Now I'm about to go on tour, as the gentleman said, Arnold Penix. We're gonna take this production and go into the schools and tour the nation and take it to the HBCUs, because we need to get our education, our black history, placed back into the schools. Because, we get that placed in schools because they banning books and they trying to take black history out of the schools. So we have quite a few black historical figures that I'm going to be spotlighting. And then since this is since this is Women's History Month, I'm going to talk about Fannie Lou Hamer and Miss, what's her name? Chisholm, Shirley Chisholm, that's right, Shirley Chisholm. And they got a few more people. We got Anna Clay Powell and the great Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton and Marcus Garvey and John Lewis. We got quite a few people. So we're going to be bringing this out to you and educating our youth, because the youth ain't, they ain't really representing being black or proud anymore. They're doing a lot of things, bringing harm to each other. And it's time that we get harmony and community back onto one accord. And that's my keynote spoken about that. Everybody, we got to get us about that? All right, come on down.
Hello, brothers and sisters.
Hey.
Good afternoon to everyone. We have had a wonderful, wonderful day at NAN, haven't we? Yes, we have. We appreciate all of you being here, and we're just asking that as you pass by, please give, if you are able to, a small donation towards the refreshments that you had today. We just appreciate you very much. We try to provide, but every little nickel and dime helps. So if you'll please give a contribution, that would be most appreciated. Thank you. God bless you, and safe home.
Shine on me, shine on me, let your light of your lighthouse shine on me, shine on me. Oh Lord, I said shine on me. Let your light of your lighthouse shine on me, shine on me. Oh, shine on me. Let your light of your lighthouse shine on me, shine on me, shine on me. Let your light of your lighthouse shine on me.
Amen, amen, amen. What a beautiful way to close this out. And we want to just thank Dr. Pullen for her wealth of knowledge and resources for the community and all the work that she does with her and her team, and also being a blessing, to be a blessing. And right now, we're just gonna pray us out. This has been a wonderful day. I thank you all for attending. I thank you for this opportunity. And as we clear our heads and minds for prayer, let's silence the room and center ourselves. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you very much for this day and opportunity. We thank you for the wisdom and the knowledge and the skill sets that have collaboratively been brought here today. We thank you for the opportunity to be here today, oh Lord, oh God. As we discuss all the problems and the woes and the difficulties in this world, we gather and continue to be pleasing, or work to be pleasing in your sight. We are grateful that we have a space and an opportunity. We are grateful for our founder and our president, the Reverend Al Sharpton, who helps us do these types of things. We are grateful for all the leaders in this place who sometimes silently just go through their own struggles but carry others as well, not looking for fortune or fame, but just trying to be pleasing in your sight. Dear Lord, help us be mindful and remember that we are welcoming to all. Despite their walk, the lack thereof, where they are, we are welcoming to all. And let us remember that we need to grow, we need to work on ourselves, but that doesn't mean we can't be a blessing to someone else. Dear Lord, oh God, you know what we need. You know how we can get it. And we just trust in you, oh Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let us continue this work. In your name we pray. Thank you. Amen. I appreciate you all so much, and I appreciate this blessing because this has been foremost one of the most helpful recovery things that I have done. And I actually probably do need to stop by Pullers and make an appointment. Thank you so much. Please feel free to take any of the snacks on the way out. And contact information and resources are on the back table. Thank you to the virtual online community as well. Have a great day, everybody.